Michael, I want you to tell your story of what's happened to you in the last few years. I want them to also know you're responsible for me being on 1,000 radio stations every day, okay? This is the guy that said, Ankerberg, you got to go do this. We wrote a book together, and before I knew it, I was doing this, and God's taken that thing, and it's going all around the world.
Right.
This is the guy that's responsible, but along the way, stuff's happened, and I want you to tell what has happened.
Well, you started out saying fantastic program to live in chronic pain, and I just disagree on the front end. Probably 2001, started having some hip pain, and I played racquetball 3 times a week. I had a weight trainer. I was in great shape for a 40-something, and little by little they discovered I had lower back issues, L4-5S1 technically. I've had 2 surgeries in that zone, and live with the chronic sciatica pain down your legs, referred pain. And then in 2008, Cindy and I did what we called the medical tour. We have friends in high places, and so we were able to go to 5 leading spine doctors around the U.S. And they all said at some point I would need a large surgery in the back of my neck, the cervical region. So that was the good news, bad news. That whole process, living with chronic pain, when the drugs and the doctors and everybody's got an opinion. You know, Cindy's a remarkable wife. I know Ken's a remarkable husband, but there are things that you have to do that are between you and God, and those are lonely places to live in, that level of pain. When the narcotics don't help, the drugs are, I call them diversion therapy. They create new issues for you that might take you off pain, but they really don't solve anything.
Yeah, listen, I remember when you were president of Moody Bible Institute. You are still one of the best conference speakers we've got in America. I love hearing you speak, and so do a lot of other people. And you were traveling from corner to corner. I couldn't keep up with you. And you had like 10, 15 meetings a day when you were at Moody. And you had all these students at Moody. And then I remember this pain coming in, and you trying to take these pills, and they were not helping you, and you were in straight agony.
Yeah. I was down about 170 pounds. I needed to be about 200. I was on so many narcotics, and they were managed, but I couldn't drive. I had to have someone take me places because of the level of medication I was on. I remember sitting on a sofa, not necessarily in the sequence of time, but talking to Cindy about this, and tears running off my chin uncontrollably with the pain and the distraction and the medications, and going, how do we do this? How do we keep on? And I told her, I said, I want to jump off a cliff. Now, I wasn't suicidal, I wasn't intending to, but that's how you feel when you get there. She said, I don't want to live with this. Lord, if this is my lot, take me home. And she said something to me, it's one of those defining moments. She said, I said, how do you do it? How do you press on, Cindy? And she said, I look back on our life, and God has been faithful to this day. Why would he not continue to be faithful?